Okay, in this video, we will be looking at translocation. So back in Form 4, you have learned about the transport system that is in human beings and also animals. Okay, and that actually refers to the blood circulatory system. But how about plants? How about multicellular plants? Do they have transport system? Okay, definitely, because they also has the needs of acquiring substances needed by the cells and also um, to excrete or to expel those products, byproducts that are not needed. So let's look at what is the process that is actually involved for the transport system in plants, and that is the terms translocation. Okay, translocation is a process transporting organic substances, okay, sucrose, amino acids, and hormones in the phloem, okay, from the leaves to the other parts of the plant, such as the roots and the stem. Okay, remember from the leaves. Why? Because the leaf is actually the main organ for photosynthesis. Now, next is that we have to look at the necessity of translocation. Okay, translocation. So for the first one, the first point, transports photosynthetic products from the leaves, which is the main organ for photosynthesis, to other parts of the plant. So for growth, for respiration, and other parts of the plants is they're actually referring to the roots, the fruits, the tips of shoots, as well as developing flowers. So all these parts need to grow, they need to undergo respiration, and therefore they need to make use of the products of photosynthesis. So the first point right here for the necessity of translocation in plants is somewhat similar to the definition. Okay, if you are to compare, so you can remember that easily. Okay, number two is in terms of storage. So you can see right here this bulb, rhizome, and also tuber. Okay, so it says here number two is that translocation is also meant for transports of excess. Okay, so the word excess, differentiate it from the first point here. It is for growth and respiration. That's the major thing to do. But then if the products are in excess, okay, what's going to happen is that it has to be transported to other parts, okay, for food storage. Okay, next is that, okay, you might wonder because here it says organic substances or the products of photosynthesis, which includes sucrose. But still remember, when you learn about photosynthesis, the main product is glucose. Okay, but here it is using the term sucrose. So in order not to make you confused, this is it. It says in times of rapid photosynthesis, the main product is glucose, but usually it is converted to larger sugar, sucrose. Okay, glucose is the monosaccharide, remember, and that this sucrose is a disaccharide. So that means condensation of two glucose molecules forms larger disaccharides, and that is sucrose. So that means rapid photosynthesis or the immediate product is the glucose, but later on it will be converted to the larger ones, the sucrose. All right. Okay, so let's look at this picture, the pathway of translocation in plants. First, translocation. The terms itself, trans means crossing. Okay, location comes from the word locus, which means site or place. Okay, so translocation, so which means those products, photosynthetic products, are crossing to sites or places. Okay, they are being transported, in other words. Okay, so let's look at the first one. But before that, let's identify these two structures at a glance. Okay, you'll be able to easily identify that this structure here on your left, that is the xylem structure. That's the xylem vessels. Okay, you can see these the pits. Okay, the pits. And for phloem structure consists of the sieve tube. Okay, so this is the sieve tube, and yeah, this is the one. And then you can see the sieve plate with the perforated plate. Ada banyak lubang-lubang dekat sini. And next to it is their good friend, the companion cell. That's going to provide produce them with energy. Okay, because they have this mitochondrion. Okay, and there you are. This is the leaf cell. So xylem structure and also phloem structure. So let's look at the first one right here. This is it. It says sucrose is actively transported into the sieve tube. That means it is by the expenditure of energy. So once being produced by the leaves, the photosynthetic organ, okay, so this sucrose is going to be transported actively. So that means against the concentration gradient. Okay, so this green arrow right here, that tells you that's the sucrose movement. Okay, that's the sucrose movement. So upon being produced, it has to enter the sieve tube, okay, and then through these companion cells as well. Okay, by means of active transport. Okay, so number 2 right here, it says the transport of sucrose into the sieve tube through the companion cell from the leaf is going to reduce the water potential in the sieve tube. Okay, which means to say when there's a lot of glucose in here, that means relatively there'll be lesser water in the sieve tube. Lesser water. Remember osmosis? So this will result in water diffusing from the xylem vessels here into this sieve tube by means of osmosis. So that means from high water potential to low water potential at this region right now. Okay, they're having low water potential because of the high concentration of sucrose right here. So this, the second sentence says, causes water to diffuse from xylem into the sieve tube, and this is through osmosis. Okay, this is number 2. Okay, number 3, here inside the sieve tube, if water is continuously to diffuse into it by osmosis, this is going to increase the hydrostatic pressure in the sieve tube. Okay, that means the water pressure here is going to be high. Alright, so water pressure high will result in the phloem sap to be pushed along. So that means the phloem sap here refers to the sucrose. It's going to be pushed along by the high water pressure here, push along the sieve tube to where? To other organs of the plants. So it's now showing here, that's the other parts, the fruits right here. Okay, so this is what happens in here, number 4. Okay, for number 5, the phloem sap, which means the sucrose is transported from the sieve tube to other parts. Okay, you see? It is now exiting this companion cell, the phloem structure, and moving on to other parts already. Okay, for example, the stems, the roots, the shoots, fruits, tubers, also by means of active transport. Okay, against the concentration gradient. That means these other parts got higher concentration of sucrose. So you see here, if sucrose is to be transported within, okay, it is always by active transport. Same goes to here, active transport. Okay, so what's going to happen is that this area now, it is left to have relatively high water potential since this sucrose has already reached other parts. So what's left inside? Relatively high water potential. So what's going to happen? Again, this is by osmosis that the water will diffuse back to the xylem. It's returning back to the xylem by means of osmosis. Okay, from high water potential to low water potential. Okay, so the last one, point number 7, is that you still remember transpirational pull when we look into the water transport. So there is a pulling force from upwards. Okay, so that one is going to result in pulling of water against the direction of gravity. Okay, transpirational pull here, a force from upwards is going to pull the water along the xylem vessels, and it is traveling against the gravitational pull. Okay, and that's the story of the pathway of translocation in plants. Okay, so there is this experiment to study the role of phloem tissue in the transport of organic substances. So this is called the bug ringing experiment. Okay, maybe you have seen this before, you're familiar with this. That's what you need to do is to cut and remove a ring-shaped part of the woody bark from a branch of a hibiscus flower, and you are to apply petroleum jelly here at the ring part and to water the plant every day, to leave it for 3 weeks, and then the technique is for you to record your observation in the table below. So this is it, upper part of the ring versus lower part of the ring. Okay, beginning of the experiment, what do you see? And after 3 weeks, what do you see? Let's look at the hypothesis. It says the upper part of the removed ring bark from the stems becomes swollen. So that means you expect to see these parts become swollen. Okay, whereas the lower part shrinks after a few weeks. This one is it's getting smaller. Why? So now you can tell actually, because now this is already labeled here the remove phloem. So imagine if phloem is absent, what is the function of phloem? Okay, it is involved in translocation, and you know what is translocation. So imagine those leaves here, okay, a lot of leaves here, they're having photosynthesis. And with products that are produced, they are going to travel down from the leaves to other parts of the plants. So imagine this is the pathway that they are supposed to go, but then when they reached here, suddenly it stopped halfway because no more phloem. Okay, jalan sudah tersekat. So that's why it resulted in accumulation of the organic substances over here. This bottom part, are they able to receive those photosynthetic products? What do you think? And that's why they shrink after a few weeks. And this is the exposed xylem. Remember xylems and also the phloem's location, the cross section. Recall that xylem is inside. Okay, phloem is at the outer. Okay, so let's look at the discussion. What is the purpose of ringing the plant stem? Okay, so this is the observation just now, swells and also shrink above and below the ring. So first, the ringing of the plant stem is to prevent products of photosynthesis such as glucose, okay, sucrose, to be transported from the leaves to the roots. Okay, that's why you ring the plant stem. Okay, what's the purpose of applying petroleum jelly to the exposed part is to protect the trees from molds and also pathogens. Okay, to prevent, okay, you have to put it this way, that it is to prevent water evaporation, okay, because there's this exposed xylem right here. Okay, and then goes the second point, which is also to protect the trees from molds, from the pathogens, because the removing of this phloem with the bark, okay, remember the function of the bark. So this protective layer, this epidermal layer now is gone. Okay, and you can expect whenever the protective layer, the epidermal layer is gone, okay, it is now at risk of encountering with these molds and also pathogens. Right? Okay, so what are the structures removed when the branch is ringed? Okay, so here already tells us that that's the phloem tissue. Okay, number 3, predict what will happen to the hibiscus plants after 6 months. Okay, after 6 months, this is it actually, the explanation of the observation that the part above the ring is going to swell because the translocation pathway through the phloem has been blocked. So blockage over here, okay, due to the removed phloem. So all these substances, photosynthetic products accumulated here at the above part. Okay, whereas below it's going to shrink because it does not receive nutrients from the phloem. all get stuck on top. Okay, so the bottom part, no nutrients at all. So in long terms, this plant may die as well. All right.